You ever go through like these brain dumps that you have maybe late at night when you're laying in bed and you're trying to fall asleep and really you just can't turn off your mind? You're thinking about things. The other night I was laying down and I was like, okay, I really need to go to bed, but I kept thinking about what do I want to record next? What's the next video that I want to record? I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. And I have never been in a situation where I'm so excited to record and so excited to interact. And I just really wanted to like start the video and just say thank you so much for all of you guys just coming here and clicking on the video and interacting and commenting and leaving likes and helping grow the channel. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like the way that it makes me feel, it's just, I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for even just being here. It means everything to me. With that being said, sorry not to try to start out cliche or anything like that, but I want to jump into things fairly quick today. We spent a lot of times talking about Evolving Skies, and we focused a lot on the English market of Pokemon cards. We talked about promos a little bit last week. That kind of was a change of pace, and we're going to go even a little bit further and change things up a little bit more. And this time we're going to be focusing on Japanese Pokemon cards because there has been a huge uptick in Japanese cards, not just because of the artwork or the borders or anything like that, but really because of the quality. The print quality. Japanese cards are much better. Now they are down from where they used to be, much better than what we've seen when it comes to quality control, especially when we look at the English printing, because things have just been kind of spewed out from printing companies as quickly as possible, and a lot of edgeware, a lot of issues, a lot of pack issues with contents and sealed product and things like that. And moving over to the Japanese product has really kind of been a breath of fresh air for a lot of collectors. And today we are going to focus on the hot set, I guess, that we would call Evolving Skies. And this is part of Evolving Skies. This is Eevee Heroes. So this came out right before, or not too long before, the release of Evolving Skies in the US. This is part of our Evolving Skies set with Eevee Heroes. But this is featuring all the evolutions. So it's got all of those really cool alternate arts. Japanese product for an MSRP level is much cheaper than what we would see for MSRP for English products. Like right now, where you're looking at MSRP for a booster box of about $143, $144. In Japan, a booster box, you only get 30 packs, and each pack is going to contain only about 5 cards, but your hit rates are much better. You're guaranteed a secret rare, which I know secret rares over there are full arts are better, but you're guaranteed one at least, and then you're guaranteed pretty much a certain amount of rarities or a certain amount of ultra rares. They're extremely cheap compared to what we are looking at as far as English print runs go. MSRP, you're only looking at it between $45 and $50 for MSRP. Now, they sell for considerable amount more, and we're going to look at Eevee Heroes right now, which is a product that hasn't seen a whole lot of reprints recently. It did get reprinted several times. Eevee Heroes has been reprinted multiple times, but the price points have skyrocketed, somewhat related to the fact that a lot of collectors haven't been able to get their hands on Evolving Skies, so they've went to Eevee Heroes for a cheaper price point. Now, it's getting to the point where Eevee Heroes is starting to catch up to that price point of Evolving Skies, so a lot of people are like, well, the quality is better, the hit rate is better, so I'm still going to get Eevee Heroes. But it's very interesting to see this price point continue to climb. And I just want to take some snips of closed auctions or sold product on completed listings on eBay. That's the word that I'm looking for. But if you look right here, 23 bids, $154.74. This ended on May 1st. So I took, when I originally pulled this was May 1st at night, so it was a couple days ago. But this sold on May 1st for $154.74 plus about $37 worth of shipping. So you're looking at closing into that $200 mark. Now, there were some that sold for a little bit cheaper a few days prior to that. So you have April 30th here for about $137 plus an additional $20 for shipping. You have one sold here on April 30th for $129 plus an additional $20 worth of shipping. April 30th again for $180.75. So that is shipped from Japan. $155 shipped on April 30th. And then you have another one on April 29th for $154.99. So anywhere between $155, $160, all the way up to $180 for a box. That is about 3 times MSRP. Now, since it's out of print and not something that you can just go to the Pokemon Center and pick up necessarily, these are kind of being sold on the secondary market for, like I said, 3 times MSRP, much like what we're dealing with when it comes to Evolving Skies. Now, it's not that expensive yet for Evolving Skies. It's getting to a point where it's like $30, $40 above MSRP, but it's still getting to a point where a lot of people kind of want to keep cracking this product, but it's getting to a price point where it's a little bit higher than a lot of people would like. But the reason behind that is because of some of the singles that are inside. And we pulled all this information from Polkadata. Again, I just used Polkadata last week, so I talked about that. You can go to polkadata.io, create your own account. It's really cool for Japanese product, something that TCG Player, which we typically use, does not really have a whole lot of data on. Now, the one thing that Polkadata.io didn't have was listings for Japanese product, as far as eBay completed listings for like sealed products. So Eevee Heroes, I couldn't find the trend report for Eevee Heroes to see how the market price is kind of fluctuating and going up over the past several months. So that's why I pulled a bunch of snips from eBay. But if we look here, the chase card, really no different. And I also wanted to take the English variant price point so we can see, just to kind of look at the Umbreon VMAX, which is still the chase card, even in Japanese, you're looking at a $1,200 price point as its high. Now that was hit back in August of 2021. Then you can see it kind of came back down to earth, and it's not selling as frequently now. You can see there's a lot of demand for it back at the end of 2021, whereas now in 2022 it's stopped. The demand hasn't been there as much, but it is starting to rise a little bit in price. You can see where it ends right around here, close to that $800 mark. Its low point was $150, which it hit at the end of December. So really right when we saw a lot of US product, a lot of English products starting to tank, this Umbreon kind of followed suit, right? We had a ton of Evolving Skies that kind of hit the market. People were kind of transitioning over to Evolving Skies, and then it looks like some people kind of went back to Eevee Heroes now, and that's why you have higher price points. This market price is really starting to climb. There's been 80 of these that have sold. If you compare this to the English variant of Umbreon VMAX, that secret rare that we have from Evolving Skies, the market price on that right now from TCG Player is $343.69, so considerably higher. There is some price points here where it's lower than that, but for the most part, you can see even the most recent sales well higher than that $343.69. So it's selling quite a bit better in Japanese than it is in English for higher price points. Part of that reason is because for gradability purposes, a lot of people like the print quality of Japanese product a lot better. It oftentimes grades higher than what we see from the English releases. So a lot of people kind of look that way. And then again, a lot of people just like the artwork and like the style a little bit better. But it's very interesting to kind of look at how some Japanese cards compare to the English variant, because when we were younger, or when cards were kind of not as in demand as what they've been over the past couple years, there was a huge discrepancy between English card prices and then Japanese card prices, where English was very, very much higher than a lot of Japanese product. But now it's kind of changing with Eevee Heroes. So it's very interesting to look at. If we look at Sylveon VMAX, which is the next one that I kind of pulled data for, its high point of 644.88. It actually hit not too long ago. It hit in February of this year. As you can see, a lot of sales at the end of 2021, and then it's kind of died off a little bit. Overall, there's been 55 that have sold since end of summer last year, so July of 2021. Lots sold at the beginning, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit. But you can see still selling for a very, very high price point. It's selling for about $275, which is quite a bit higher than its $145.18 English variant equivalent, but only 55 that have sold over the past year. Again, starting to slow down a little bit, but part of that is because the price points are getting to a point where they are very high. Again, it just sold recently for $644.88, which is quite high, and then it's kind of dived down a little bit, so it's selling right now between $250 and $300. If we look at the Glaceon VMAX, this is the third highest selling card from Eevee Heroes. So again, lots of sales at the beginning, or lots of sales at the end of 2021 before it's really started to slow down a little bit. Part of that is because less stock became available, less things were getting opened, and really just price point. But if you look, 70 that have sold, with the majority of them being at the end of 2021. Its lowest price point, which it hit at the end of December, again for $77, and it started climbing back up, where you can see the market price right now is settling right around $200, still about $70 higher than its English variant, which is very interesting. This is going to change. It is going to catch up very soon, but $378.65 is its highest price point, which it hit kind of in August, September of last year. You can see a lot of these price points right here selling for between $250, $350, some a little bit less, but not quite as low as what we saw at the beginning of the year, or end of December 2021, before it started kind of going back up. If we look at the Leafeon VMAX, kind of the same thing, except there is a little bit of a blip here where it started selling a little bit more frequently. This has 87 sold, so quite a bit more than what we've seen for the last couple, but much, much closer to where it is sitting in its English variant. Like I said, $155.95 for its English variant, but if you look here, it's selling right now, market price is right around that 160 point, so this is where we start to see it kind of level off. It's really really those three cards that are being chased a lot more in the Japanese variant, the Japanese version, than the English version. But at one point, this card was selling for $325. Again, that happened near August, September of 2021 before it really started going down a little bit. You can see it hit its low point of $77 right here at the end of January, but it already started going down a little bit in November, and then there started to be less sales. So it hit its low point at the end of January and then started shooting up a little bit, where there's this kind of bundle of sales right here at the beginning of February. Now there's only been a couple sales since then, but it's kind of evened off to about 150, which is much closer to that English variant. If we look at the Leafeon V alternate, and we're just looking at alternates with the exception of a few rainbow rares at the end here. Right now, this is selling for $61.21 in the US. Pretty close. It's a little bit less than that in the Japanese variant, but at one point in time it was selling for $103.99. You can see there's quite a few here that sold for over $100 before hitting a giant dip right here down to $30. Now I think that this one right here, which was like $4, is kind of, I didn't include that one because it just seemed really weird to me. So I think $30 is probably accurate, that somebody found it for that price, because it sold again for $30, and then you can see it hovering right around $30, $40, $50 right here. Still a decent amount of sales. You can start seeing a lot more sales now that we've gotten to lower price points. There's 117 that have sold for the Leafeon V. If we look at the Sylveon V, very, very steady and consistent. More sales still in 2021 at the end of 2021, but still quite a few sales here in 2022. 107 that have sold in total. Its Japanese version selling for about $70 right now for the market price, which is still a little bit higher than the English variant, which is selling for $57.71 right now for market price on TCG Player. Its low price point of $36 hit at the beginning of February, and its high price point, much like what we just saw with the Leafeon V, sold right around September of last year. So lots of bunches that sold around September, August, that area here, before it started slowing down a little bit. If we look at the Umbreon V, 133 that have sold. So we're starting to really tick up in sales now that these prices are getting to be a little bit more manageable. This English variant, a lot more expensive. You're looking at $94.94 for a market price to own this card in English, whereas here it's selling for just under $80 was its most recent sale, and before that it was selling for even less than that. At one point it was all the way down to $38. Now that was at the beginning of January, end of December 2021, and again, a lot more sales at the end of 2021 than there has been in 2022 still, but we did have this one giant increase here where it sold for about $240. It seems to be a little bit of an outlier for the most part. At one point in time it was selling for $160 to $180 as kind of its high price point before dropping all the way down. Now it's pretty easy to find, it looks like, between that $60 and $80 price point if you're looking to get the Japanese variant as opposed to the English variant. It's starting to be a little bit more expensive in Japanese. For the Glaceon V, 126 have sold over the past 9 months or so. Again, you're seeing a lot more that have sold in August, September of 2021 as opposed to right now. Its English variant is selling for $58.25, whereas its last sale in Japanese was right around the same price, right about $60, and that seems like it's kind of where it's leveled off for the most part as far as the market price goes. It was at $130 at one point in time. Very few sales kind of up to that point. For the most part, it seems like between $80 and $100 is really where it kind of peaked at before starting to drop down a little bit, and now it's hovering right around that $60 mark, and it seems to be kind of leveled off at that price point. If we look at the Espeon V, $59.34 is its current market price for the US variant. For the English variant, right now the last sale was about $75, but for the most part it's been consistently selling for about $50, so very close to what we see for the English variant. At one point in time it was over $100. You can see consistently between that $90, $80, $100 mark in 2021. A lot more sales in August, September again than what we've seen recently, but still 132 that have sold. The Jolteon V, this is something that we can only really get here in those promo boxes. So right now it's selling for $19.03 over here, a little bit higher than that in the Japanese variant, but that's because this is included in the Eevee Heroes box as opposed to not being in our Evolving Sky set. So a little bit more available here with the amount of product that's been opened. At one point in time it was selling for $124.50. Kind of an outlier for the most part. It seems like between $80 and $100. Lots of bunches of sales here in September and October of 2021 before slowing down, but 159 is quite a bit that have sold over the past 9 months or so. Again, you can see it kind of drop down. Now it's selling for right around that $40 price point, so a little bit more than what we would see in the English variant, but again, more availability here in English. Same thing with the Flareon. You can see right now the Flareon V is selling for right around that $40 price point, where its English variant is selling for about $20, $22. At one point this was selling for $162.23. A little bit of an outlier again there. For the most part, it seems like we're really bunched between $80 and $100 for the Flareon V. Very cool looking card, but you can see 168 have sold. Really started to kind of slow down a little bit once we turn the calendar to 2022. 2022, much less sales, but still consistently selling for about $40 to $50, somewhere around there. And that seems where it's kind of leveled off, despite a little bit of a blip here where it sold for just over $100 at the end of March. If we look at the Vaporeon V, same story, lots of sales at the end of 2021 before it started slowing down a little bit. 156, quite a few that have sold. It's selling for $21.77 right now in the US. Right now it's about $40 is the market value over in Japan that you can kind of find these prices for if you find them on eBay or wherever. But lots of sales in 2021 before it's kind of slowed down quite a bit. You can see it kind of trending in the downward direction. But very interesting because the Eevee Heroes booster box is going up and up and up in price. At one point $136, but for the most part, again, right between $80 and $100 is where you see the majority of the market sales at the end of 2021 before kind of slowing down. And now you can find it between $40 and $50. We have a few rainbows that I kind of wanted to look at just because these are secret rares, so it does compare well to our Evolving Skies set. The English variant for the Umbreon VMAX, $40.64. Right now selling for a little bit less in Japan. The Japanese variant selling for right around $30 consistently with sales. Only 49 of these have sold, so you can see the alternate arts are a lot more popular than the rainbow rares. At one point in time, it was selling for close to that $100 mark, but for the most part, the majority of sales are right around $50 to $60. You can see some of it drop down a little bit, drip down a little bit to $21.50 at the middle of October before kind of rising back up, and now it's kind of settled off, steadied off to about $30 or so. So a little bit cheaper for that variant. Then you've got this Sylveon VMAX, which is kind of all over the place right here. Very interesting graph right in the middle here around October. It was up and down and up and down, but for the most part selling for $30.49 over here. The Japanese variant is selling right now for about $20. You can see it dropped all the way down to $13.50, so much, much cheaper to be able to buy the Japanese variant than it is the English variant right now. Only 46 of these have sold. $68.87 is kind of its high point, but for the most part, I'd say between $35 and $50 is where the majority of these kind of sell. Again, lots more sales at the end of 2021 than what we've seen so far in 2022. Then we've got the Leafeon VMAX, the English variant, selling for $21.71. Much, much cheaper for the Japanese variant, whereas one point in time it was down to $6.87. Only 59 have sold, but you can see it's pretty easy to find right now below $20. At one point it was at $90, but you can see that's kind of a lone wolf out there. It seems the majority of them have been between $20 and $30. Last one we're going to look at here is the Glaceon VMAX, $21.18 for the English variant, consistently selling between $10 and $15 over the past several months. 2021, a lot more sales, only 43 that have sold total, with a high point to 51, but for the most part the majority of them have fallen right between this $20 and $30 mark. But again, right now you can find it for cheaper than that, $15 to $20, $21 for the English variant. Like I said, I hope you guys like this kind of layout. I do like utilizing Poké Data for the kind of Japanese product, like I said, and then for some of the sealed product as well. We'll kind of switch back and forth moving forward between Poké Data and TCG Player, depending on what's got the best information to provide, so that way we can make the best decisions with our collection budget. So I hope you enjoy that kind of information. If you do, please leave a like on the video down below and leave a comment, because it does go a long way for the algorithm, and spread the channel as much as you possibly can. I really appreciate it. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, it would mean the world to me if you did. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. This wouldn't happen without you, so thank you for everything. Until next time, peace.